Thank you, Dan. So yes, I'm Sam Burlton. I run a company called Make an Entrance, and we're kind of well known locally because we specialise in doormats, which is not a remotely glamorous product at all. And it is not the thing that I thought I was going to do when I was a little girl, because I don't think anybody wants to grow up to be a doormat seller. And what might interest you to know is that even though at the moment we are having a lot of success and we've won loads of awards, Make an Entrance was not the big dream at all. I am an entrepreneur, and I've been an entrepreneur for 20 plus years. And I've had Make an Entrance all that time. But the big dream was something totally different. And the Make an Entrance business is actually a consolation prize and something that I just happened to do. And I'd just like you to keep that in mind as I tell you this story, because wherever you are in your business journey now, whatever you're doing and whatever you're making your business out of, it may change over time. But if I can make a really successful business and win awards selling a waste product from coconuts, you can all make a business out of absolutely anything. But the first stage is to go back in time and talk to you about what was it that made me become an entrepreneur in the first place. And apologies to any of you in this room who may have heard me give variations on this talk before. I'll be able to ask you questions later. So when I was a little girl, I had a favourite toy. And that favourite toy was a little metal tea set. And all the way around the edge of this tea set was a phrase that said, if something's worth doing, it's worth doing well. And that probably set me up for a whole lifetime of perfectionism and probably a whole need of therapy for that. But it also set me on the path to being somebody who worked really hard and always did my best and ended up getting some really good results. And what it meant was that I got really good grades at school. I ended up being the first person in my family to go to university, and then I got an amazing graduate job. And, you know, it looked like the sky was the limit. Everyone was astounded because I came from a working class family. My dad was a builder. And I was just the first person who'd ever done anything like that. But in actual fact, even though it looked like I was on this corporate career path, I didn't have any choice about becoming an entrepreneur because it's just in my blood. Everyone in my family had been self-employed. So once I got to London working for BT when I was 22 with this company car and mobile phone, which then was a big deal, I could go to the meetings, have the nice suit, do all the training, but I was like a fish out of water. It just didn't feel like me at all, because what I was used to was people who just had ideas and made them happen. So I had some really good training in corporate life, and I wouldn't change a thing, but it really wasn't for me. So by 2003, I'd met my husband, Stuart, who's sitting at the back of the room and really putting me off. And a year later, we got married, and he just said to me, you know what, you need to pack your job in and you need to go for it and you need to create a business, because I was probably absolutely driving him mad with moaning about my boss and not liking corporate life. And so that's what we did. I wrote a business plan and he was going to pay the mortgage because he'd got a great corporate job as well. And so in February 2005, the business that I'd actually been dreaming about launched, and it was nothing to do with doormats. At that time, I still am really interested in food and cooking, and so I really loved buying the best possible ingredients. So I shopped at farmers markets, and I loved buying organic food. And then obviously things just developed from there. I wanted everything else to be organic too. But in 2003-04, there was hardly anything available. And as a young woman who was interested in cosmetics and things, I didn't want to buy my face cream in a dusty old health food shop. So my idea, even though it was really early in e-commerce, was to create an online department store for organic products, a bit like John Lewis, but for organic. And so that's what I did. And the brand was called So Organic on the website, soorganic.com. And I'll tell you what happened to that in a minute. But at the same time, in 2005, I also created a Doormat website called Make an Entrance. And that was purely an afterthought. And it was simply because my father-in-law had gone on holiday and I babysat his business for a bit while he was on holiday. And Alan, my father-in-law, used to be the factory manager for the Royal School for the Blind in London. And in that factory, blind and partially sighted people used to hand-stitch traditional coconut doormats. And it was a brilliant project where people who otherwise wouldn't have had employment learned a skill and were gainfully employed. And it was great and it ran for years. But sadly, in around 1997, with government change, the funding for it cut. And so the workshops closed. So Alan had kept this business going in a really low-key kind of way from home. He'd got one workshop in Suffolk where he could send the orders by a telephone and fax, because we still used fax machines then. And that was it. So I came in while he went on holiday. I think it was to go to Las Vegas for his 40th wedding anniversary. And after I'd looked after this really low-tech business for a week, I thought, I know, I've just created an e-commerce website. I'll do another one and I'll put those mats on it. So I did. And I called it Make an Entrance. And I bought makeanentrance.com and promptly forgot all about it. It was a phone on the corner of a desk in the corner of the office of our other business. And it remained like that for quite some time. Because other business, the organic dream, was absolutely going from strength to strength. So like many entrepreneurs, like probably a lot of the businesses in this room, we started in the spare bedroom at home. I say we, because even though it wasn't the plan, it was we by the time we actually launched the business in February 2005, because despite having thought that Stu was going to pay the mortgage, he got a brown envelope about 6 weeks before with his P45 in it, and because of redundancies, suddenly we'd got no income at all. So from day one, we had 2 people and no money. But we'd got a lot of skills, so that was good. And thanks to some unemployment insurance that he'd luckily taken out, we had our mortgage paid for a year so we could launch. So we started that business in the spare bedroom, but within only a few short months, we needed an office. And that first office was probably about a third of the size of this room, and one half of it we turned into a pick, pack and dispatch operation with some crap old metal shelves that my dad had got from God knows where. And we put all the stock on them, and at the other end we ran customer service, and we were up and running, and there was only a couple of us. Within a year of that, we opened our first shop in London, because we were based in South East London. So our first shop was in Greenwich Marketplace, and I absolutely loved that shop. It was little, it was quirky, it was right on the edge of the market. And I had a really memorable day where I went round the M25 in a hired van and went to every single IKEA, because I was making the shop fit out of Billy bookcases, and none of the IKEAs had got enough. So we just went to one IKEA, loaded up and got a few more at the next one. I think it took us about 12 hours in the van that day. But the shop was brilliant because it was absolute passion, and I spent a year working in that shop 7 days a week. And it was brilliant because I was face to face with the customers, talking to them as they came through the door and knowing exactly what they wanted and tweaking the product offering to make it what the customers wanted. And because I was talking to the customers all the time and hearing what they wanted, they were driving the business forward. And they kept giving me ideas. So they walked in and said, "Oh, it smells so lovely in here. Do you do spa treatments? It smells like a spa." So I was like, "Well, no, we don't. And this building's not really big enough." But I talked to the landlord, and the landlord really liked us because we were growing fast and impressing loads of people. So our landlord gave us a flagship store on Greenwich High Street, which they spent a huge amount of money converting for us. We had beautiful organic treatment rooms in the basement, a wonderful ground floor shop, and then our offices upstairs. And this was 2009, this shop opened. And by this point, we now had about 15 staff. And it was really, really exciting time. We were learning loads. We were figuring out how to do things and winging it. I've always been winging it. In fact, it used to be my username. So we learned how to do a mail order catalogue. Then we launched our own brand of products, and we were just continuing to go from strength to strength. We entered awards, and we won those awards. And it was kind of before social media had really taken off. So we were working with someone who looked after our PR, and she did such an amazing job. There was a time when my face had been on every national newspaper, in every glossy magazine. And in 2009, I was voted #1 in the industry by my peers in the organic industry. And you can see the picture of 10 Downing Street. The sort of pinnacle was, I must be doing something right and I must be getting noticed, when I got invited to go to 10 Downing Street to have breakfast with the Prime Minister. So I thought, I've made it. This is absolutely it. This shop that we spent all this money on is the first one in a chain, and we're going to just hit the big time. But we were wrong, because within a few short years, we lost it all. And that is how I end up standing here today talking about Make an Entrance as well. Because we got really carried away with this business. It was really exciting to constantly have an idea and then go and implement it. And we thought we were superheroes, but we were really young and we were really inexperienced. And the biggest problem was there'd been a big recession that had started in 2008. And it took a while, but the effects of that percolated through our business. It started to become harder and harder to sell to people who, when they came into our first shop, when they were face to face with me in Greenwich, they'd easily spend £150 on skincare. By the time we were in this beautiful new flagship store and thinking we're going to roll out of a chain, people didn't want to buy a soap for £3, and the business wasn't sustainable, but we didn't really realise. So we were bust and we didn't know. It took someone else to come in and look at the numbers and say to us, your business is over, let us help you shut it down. And you can imagine, when you've put your heart and soul into something, it is really hard when that happens. So we ran away and we came to Lincoln, because when you've had that level of publicity and been that well known, to be in a place where you know everybody, when something like that happens to you, it's not a good feeling. So we came away to Lincoln because we didn't know a soul here, and the idea was to hide. It was also to come and just recover, because this all had happened the same year that I'd given birth to our daughter. So I was the mum of a newborn baby and I was losing my business baby, and it was hard. But we still felt lucky when we got here, because even though we landed in Lincoln with no money, we'd lost our house, because in doing all this growth stuff and borrowing money, banks don't lend you money for nothing. They want you to put a personal guarantee in place, and we'd willingly signed them all. So that meant that when it all went wrong, the bank could have our house, all our money, all our equity, and we came to Lincoln with a few sticks of furniture and our clothes, and that was it. But we were lucky, because there's a really amazing solicitor based in Lincoln who, if you ever need him, I can put you in touch with, and he negotiated with our creditors for us. And because he did that, we weren't made bankrupt. And because we weren't bankrupt, we were able to start again and rebuild. And that is why I've been able, in a relatively short space of time, to re-establish myself with Stu. So while we'd run away and come up here, there was still lots of stuff to do. So Stuart dealt with the liquidators and did all the awful stuff of closing down the other business. And I was up here with Chris, who is our right-hand man. He's been working with us since 2006. He was the best man at our wedding. He's our daughter's godfather. And he and I used all the skills that we had to rebuild that website, because it was getting old by this point. It was a bit rubbish. We didn't have any money to pay any agencies, so we were back to being at the beginning of being entrepreneurs, doing everything ourselves. And so it was all the building the website, doing the SEO, writing the blog posts. Every single job in that business was done by one of the three of us. And at that point, we just thought, right, we're not on very big margins here, so if we can just get the turnover to £10,000 a month, that'll pay us all, and we'll live, and we can just breathe for a bit. And so that was 2011, March, when we came up here and did that. And we actually carried on in that way for a good few years, because it was really hard. I didn't want to come here and tell this story and tell anyone what had happened, because I felt a lot of shame. Because even though I'd lost everything, other people had lost money too. And it's really awful to try and just deal with that and think about it. So it took me years. It was about 2015 before I could even tell this story and talk about it. But once I started being able to talk about it, I knew my entrepreneurial spirit was coming back, because I was looking at the business. I was going, not just how do we make a living, but how do we make this business better and how do we make it grow? So over the time, we've been in the Make an Entrance business and given it our attention, so probably from about 2015. There have been low points, even still, and there have been high points as well. So I'll just go through some of those, because actually we all worry about low points and we get scared about them. But what I've learned is actually the low points are brilliant, because they are the thing that make you change and make you look at things differently. For example, 2016, when the Brexit vote happened, at that point in time, we were simply a sales and marketing company. We advertised our products online, orders came in, and then with about 6 or 7 different outsourced workshops, we sent our orders out. We didn't make anything, we just took orders on the internet. But with Brexit, suddenly we thought any one of these suppliers at any moment could completely wreck our business. And we've been doing this too long. We've failed once. We're getting a bit old. We don't think we can fail again. So we can't let them wreck our business. And that is what started the ball rolling with us thinking, we need to take control of this and start making this stuff ourselves. Because we're doing things like, we'd get a whole load of orders, send them through to one of our suppliers, and our customers had thought, oh, well, next day delivery or 2 to 3 day delivery. And then these suppliers had come back and go, oh, yeah, we haven't got any of that, and there's none coming for 6 weeks. But they've let us take loads of orders. So we've then got to go tell our customers there's none coming. And my customer doesn't care that it's somewhere down the supply chain. They just think, I've been dishonest, I shouldn't have taken the order. So I couldn't allow that to continue. So we went, right, even though everybody else is getting out of manufacturing, we're going to get into it. And once again, we don't know anything about this. We're winging it as usual, but we'll figure it out. So I went to India, found some suppliers, found some premises, and started. And 2019, we got the first premises and started making stuff in-house. And it was coming along nicely. We're still working with the other suppliers, but we were starting to do things ourselves. And then you get 2020, and COVID came along, and that was awful, obviously, for everybody. But it was a catalyst in our business, and it made us change. So looking back now, I think, some good came out of it, because what happened was, on 23rd of March, the government shut everyone down, sent everyone home, and we'd got a ton of orders in with our suppliers that they were supposed to be making on our behalf. They sent all their staff home too. And then, if you remember, within a few days, they said, right, manufacturers, go back to work. But our suppliers didn't. And so we were like, wow, we've still got to send all these orders out. We've still had the money, or it's either that or give all the money back. So we'd got some stock, and we went, right, well, we'll just do it ourselves then. And we found a way of working safely, getting everyone in distanced. And by the time these suppliers came back to work about 3 months later and said, oh, go on, send the orders through again. We didn't need to, because we could do it all ourselves. And now about 90% of what we sell, we make in our Lincoln workshops. And that's great because it's put our gross margin up, and it means that we're in control of the quality, and those other suppliers can't go and wreck our business. Only a year later though, happy days, suddenly I don't feel like myself anymore. And I start to discover that I'm feeling a bit weird and I don't know what's wrong with me. I eventually realise I'm struggling with menopause symptoms. And I know you're probably bored to death of hearing about it in bloody Davina, but please believe me, if you have not yet experienced it, and if you're a man, please do, when people say to you that this is an awful thing, believe them. Because it could take someone like me who clearly has got it sorted out, because I'm standing back at the front again. It took me and put me in a place where I said, what's the point of me? I shouldn't be in this business. I can't do my job anymore. And that's what sadly happens to loads of women. But again, in our business, we took this and used it as a catalyst for change. So I had probably got my finger in way too many pies at that point, and I didn't need to be involved in all the stuff in the business that I was involved in. So we changed the structure of the business so that all of that stuff I was doing was delegated. So now I can stand here and do this, and the business runs perfectly well without me. They don't need me, except sometimes they do need me. And when they do need me, I go and I'm there. But generally it's in a role as a mentor and as a guide. But the day-to-day operations of that business, I'm not involved in anymore. And that is thanks to something that felt pretty crap at the time. But also, there've been loads of high points in our career and the last few years. Lots of people who I meet say, oh, I see you've been winning some awards. And we have. Last year we won a national award for our business transformation. We also were named Small Family Business of the Year for the whole of the UK. And it's brilliant to win awards. And there's awards tonight. Obviously they're great, but they are part of your marketing strategy. They are not the be-all and end-all. And honestly, there's no lasting joy. The next morning you wake up and you just go, well, so what? I better write another application then. Similarly, revenue targets. We need to have financial targets for our business, and we need to have, as you can see from our previous business failure, you need to have financial acumen to make sure that your business is run properly. But when you strive continually to hit that month-end target and you hit it, well, the next day, so what? It's a new month and the whole treadmill starts again. There's no deep joy with it. But for me, there have been things in this business journey that have created that deep and lasting joy that I never thought they would. Because first, the creation of a team. Part of why I'm an entrepreneur is because I kind of do things by myself. I'm not really the sort of person who is great in a team. We use a personality profiling tool called Print, and mine says that I'm strong and self-reliant, which is great to be an entrepreneur, but it's not great to be a people manager. And I often thought, oh God, I don't want a load of people. That's just a whole load of hassle. But I came to learn over time, if we don't take on people and we don't grow this business through the creation of a brilliant team, I can't grow it. I can't do everything all myself, no matter how much I might try. So I never planned to build a big team, but that team is something I'm so proud of. It says Ben Nevis on there because in 2021, we went up to Scotland with the team in a minibus, and 12 of us all climbed up Ben Nevis. And I have never been more proud of them in the way that they supported each other. It wasn't really a work thing, but the way that the team that we had brought together work together is one of the proudest things. And also when we've supported those team members through things that have gone wrong in their personal lives, when you come and work in a family business, I think it's really important to treat people like they're a member of your family, which is what we do. And And now the way my role has developed, so that really what I do is mentor people who are coming up behind. And that's the thing that makes me feel like it's not about money or how much the business makes me as an income. It's what have I created that will continue? What things can I teach that will help other people? And that's the thing that gave me the biggest high, and I never expected it. The fact that I'm not indispensable is the big win for me. So, summing up some things that I've learned along the way. There's a picture of a chameleon, because I have had to be one, and I think you do have to be one, and keep changing and adapting to the environment. But it's a long, old journey, and the road winds, it's not a straight line. So sometimes you're going to need to rest. And please don't think that by resting you're giving up. Sometimes you just need to recover your energy a bit, like I needed to recover the energy after one business failed before I could really go for it again. And there are things about being an entrepreneur that are just kind of what is the spirit of being an entrepreneur. And I think it's about seeing opportunity everywhere. Just recently, earlier this summer, we've started a project with Moreton Hall Prison, where we've now got prisoners who are making some of our doormats inside the prison. And if I'd have just gone, oh no, I can't really be bothered to go to that, and didn't want to see that there was even worth having a conversation, that project would never have started. So I think it's being open to possibility and just seeing where things go. But you've got to be willing to really work. You know, that year I spent in my shop working 7 days a week was invaluable, but it was really hard work. And continuously be looking for how to make the business better, even by a tiny little thing. If you just tweak one little bit today, the business will be that tiny tweak better tomorrow. It doesn't always have to be a great big idea, but you've got to do it relentlessly. And even when you're exhausted, just keep putting one foot in front of the other. So I think my story goes to show that anybody can do this. And if I can sell the waste product of coconuts and make an award-winning business out of it, you can make a business out of absolutely anything. But you need to do the work, and it will not always feel very easy. And I know that being an entrepreneur and being the person at the figurehead of the business is a really lonely place, because as it does grow and you develop a team, the team enables the business to do the things that the business needs to do. But you never got peer support, because there's never anyone who's the same level as you, who you can have a moan to, because you've always got to have your face on. So for me, organisations like this, networking groups, that's one of the things about networking that's so good. Instead of going there thinking, what can I get out of this? What can I sell to this person? Just how can I make some business mates who get what it's like to be me? Because you need that. I'm really lucky that I've been running this business for 20 years with my husband by my side, but most people are not in that situation and know how hard it is. So, two final things. One final thing, I've talked about chameleon. The other thing is the toad. We have this phrase in our business, and I don't know if any of you have heard this phrase before, it's lick the toad. And this is when there's a thing on your to-do list that you keep putting off and you don't want to do it, and it keeps coming onto tomorrow's to-do list and the day after. You just have to lick the toad and do it, because that is the thing you need to do today. Thank you.
Thoroughly engaged story. Thank you for sharing those. Should we have time for a couple of questions? We do before into lunch. You've put in so much there, so much to take away. Question from Tom.
I've got one. The restructure thing is a really interesting thing for me, because I think that one of the key things was that growth isn't linear, right? It's a winding journey, and then you saw the need for the restructure. What did, I guess briefly, what was the restructure like? Was it an easy process? Were there still problems, and how did you overcome?
Well, so first of all, we have to consider, okay, so do we have to recruit someone and bring someone in from outside the business with the skills and pay for those skills? And we still don't know when we recruit that person, are they going to really be a fit? Because you can interview as much as you like until they get there and start working with you. You never really know. Or do we take someone who's already in the business, who maybe doesn't yet have all of the skills, but has got the attitude and the love for that business. So we always try to go, right, who have we already got, who's got the potential, and then we will develop that person. Because you can teach all this stuff, really. It's the kind of person that they are. So for us, it was just, the person was already there. We just then gave support to move into that role.
Scott?
As a magician, I remember some years ago, I had a moment where I thought about giving up because I saw a guy on television in Japan, I think it was, and he was doing remarkable things, way better than I could ever dream of. And I thought, why would I ever do that job when I can't do it as well as him? And in the end, it was not quite what it appeared to be, and he wasn't exactly doing those things. So I'm wondering, with all of the multi-award-winning success and mats and carpets and making entrances amazing, do you still have that feeling where you look at other mat producers and get jealous of their coconuts products and say, hey, we need to maybe do something kind of like that? Do you still get those moments where you doubt making entrance?
I think I wouldn't be human if I didn't. It's normal that you look at what other people are doing and think, oh God, maybe we need to up our game. But I think over the years, I've gained enough self-confidence to know, actually, they're doing something slightly different. I know other things about their company that maybe all the customers don't see. I'll just keep doing our thing and doing it really, really well. And our customers love us, so that's good enough for me. But I still feel it.